Epigraph. After being forced by the icy female CEO to sign a sky-high compensation agreement, I unexpectedly gained the superpower to hear her innermost thoughts. Turns out, she curses me as an idiot in her head, yet her face is turning red. Main text. Caleb Stone felt like today was destined to be his personal day of reckoning. It started in the morning when Mr. Wong from the office, whose comb-over was growing ever more expansive, was eating a chicken drumstick during the video conference. He choked, couldn't draw another breath, and ended up frozen, his face turning the color of an eggplant. Everyone in the conference room was terrified. Only Caleb, a fresh-off probation nobody, who'd taken a basic first aid course, charged forward without a second thought. He wrapped his arms around Mr. Wong from behind, cinching his biceps around the man's midsection, and delivered a sharp upward thrust. Puffed. A piece of cartilage, trailing some shredded meat, flew in a graceful parabola and landed precisely on the ample chest of the new female intern. Mr. Wong could finally breathe, but the look he gave Caleb had fundamentally changed. Caleb, you dare assault your superior in public. Mr. Wong's finger trembled as he pointed. You're fired. Immediately. Right now. Caleb was stunned. He tried to explain, but dozens of mouths started buzzing at once, some trying to mediate, some sucking up, some openly gloating. In the end, 2 security guards escorted him out of the building. Clutching a cardboard box containing a cactus and half a pack of tissues, Caleb stood outside the office tower, feeling like his life had faded to grayscale. His phone vibrated. It was a message from his girlfriend of 3 years, Jessica Miller. Let's break up. You can't even hold a job. I don't see a future with you. Below the text was a photo. Her in the passenger seat, and the wrist of the man driving next to her sported a blindingly bright gold watch that nearly put Caleb's eyes out. Caleb tugged at the corner of his mouth, trying to smile, but it looked worse than crying. He shoved the phone back into his pocket and wandered the streets aimlessly, finally collapsing onto a bench in a city park. It was a summer afternoon, and the weather changed on a dime. 1 second, the sky was a clear blue. The next, it was choked with dark clouds. Crack! A bolt of lightning exploded overhead. Before Caleb could even look up and curse heaven for seeming to hate him too, he felt a jolt, a powerful electrical current instantly shooting through his entire body. His vision went black, and he lost consciousness completely. When Caleb woke up, he found himself still sitting on the park bench, soaked to the bone like a drowned rat. An elderly man in a sanitation worker's uniform was looking at him with an expression of distaste while holding a push broom. Hey, Sonny, if you're going to check out, don't do it here. You scared the hell out of me. Caleb shook his groggy head. The residual feeling of being struck by lightning still tingled in his limbs, both numb and itchy. He opened his mouth to say something, but heard a voice that wasn't his own echoing in his mind. This kid looks halfway decent. Why is he looking like a homeless person? Probably got dumped. TSK. Young people these days, such fragile emotional fortitude. Caleb snapped his head up, staring hard at the sanitation worker. The old man flinched, nearly dropping his broom. Why are you looking at me like that? Caleb swallowed, tentatively asking, Sir, did you just say something mean about me in your head? The old man's face instantly flushed red. You're talking nonsense. I didn't say anything. Oh my God, how did he know? Is he an angel? No, wait, do young people do those mind-reading tricks now? That's terrifying. The voice in his head perfectly matched the look of sudden terror on the old man's face. Caleb's heart hammered against his ribs. He could hear people's thoughts. To test this absurd hypothesis, Caleb stumbled out of the park and plunged headlong into the crowd. Why is that person walking like they have 2 left feet? Hilarious. What should I have for dinner tonight? Spicy fish or crawfish? The boss is such an idiot. I did this whole proposal, and he stole all the credit. Countless chaotic thoughts flooded his brain like a tide, a bizarre mix of notions that made him dizzy and weak. He finally confirmed it. After being struck by lightning, he had genuinely gained a superpower. But this ability seemed a bit underwhelming. Besides knowing strangers' dinner plans and petty gossip, it didn't seem to serve much purpose. Just as he was leaning against a utility pole, trying to adjust to this all-channel broadcast, a sleek red sports car silently glided up beside him and stopped. The window smoothly rolled down, revealing an exquisitely beautiful profile, as cold as ice. The woman was wearing a perfectly tailored white business suit, her long hair impeccably pinned up, exuding a crisp aura, like a snow lotus atop a mountain peak. Before Caleb could utter a silent appreciation for her beauty, he saw the woman frown. Who is this guy? standing there like a utility pole that suddenly came to life, blocking the way. Caleb. Fair enough. The beauty's inner monologue was just as bluntly unvarnished. He was about to shuffle out of the way to let the luxury car pass when his foot inexplicably caught on something, sending him lurching forward uncontrollably. In his hand, he still clutched a cup of soy milk he just bought. $1 for the whole thing, bought to soothe his wounded soul. At that moment, the cheap liquid carved a precise and merciless arc through the air, sailed over the open car window, and landed squarely on a white, obviously expensive bag in the passenger seat. Time seemed to freeze, the air filled with the thick, sweet scent of cheap soy milk. Caleb froze, watching the off-white liquid slowly seep into the delicate stitching of the bag, forming a small lake on the fine leather seat. The woman in the car slowly turned her head. Her beautiful, phoenix-shaped eyes were now brewing a blizzard capable of freezing an entire summer. Caleb's mind went blank, repeating only 3 words on an endless loop. I'm screwed. He didn't even need to listen to guess what she was thinking. Sure enough, where did this idiot crawl out from? My Birkin, a global limited edition. I waited in line for 3 years to get that. I'm going to kill him. Caleb B. Stone felt a distinct chill down the back of his neck. The woman took a deep breath and pushed the door open, stepping out. She was tall, and in her heels, she almost had to look down at Caleb. Do you know how much this bag costs? Her voice was as cold as her expression. Caleb managed a shaky head shake. He knew nothing about designer goods, only that this thing was probably worth more than his life. 7 figures. The woman spat out the words through clenched teeth. Caleb's eyes shot wide open. 7 figures? That meant over $1 million? He couldn't even scrape together 1/10 of that if he sold himself for parts. He opened his mouth, his throat dry. I'll pay for it. Uttering those 2 words took every ounce of his remaining strength and dignity. The woman let out a cold laugh, a sound laced with a cruel satisfaction. Pay? With what? Disassemble him and sell the parts? Look at this pauper. Does he even have $300 on him? Caleb's cheeks burned as if slapped. I don't have the money. He chose honesty, his voice barely a mosquito's hum. But I can work off the debt. The woman sized him up, her gaze assessing him like a pig brought to slaughter, calculating the yield. Work? Him? Earning maybe $2,000 a month? That'll take until the cows come home. But the way he looks so unlucky yet stubborn, it's almost interesting. Caleb's stomach tightened. Interesting? That was never a good sign. My name is Alexis Reed, the woman announced, her tone leaving no room for argument. Get in the car. We need to discuss your indentured servitude. Caleb had no choice. He scrambled in a luxury car, one he could never afford in a million years, like a condemned criminal. The smell of soy milk hadn't faded in the car, a constant reminder that he had gotten himself into a colossal mess. The first big money I ever deal with is debt. Where's the justice in that? Caleb sighed in despair as he stared at the long string of zeros on the contract. He was now sitting in the penthouse office of the city's most exclusive high-rise, a room so large you could play soccer in it. The office's owner, Alexis Reed, sat opposite him, elegantly stirring a cup of coffee. $1.8 million, paid over 30 years, $5,000 a month. Just enough to tie him down permanently. I really am an incredibly modest genius of philanthropy. Caleb's eye twitched. Philanthropy? The devil's brand of charity? Sign it. Alexis pushed the contract and a pen toward him. Caleb picked up the pen. It felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. He took a deep breath and scrawled his name in the space marked Party B. His handwriting was slightly distorted by humiliation and resentment. Done. Alexis collected the contract, nodding in satisfaction. Starting tomorrow, you'll work for my company. Planning department, intern. What? Caleb thought he must have misheard. You want me to work for your company? What else? Alexis arched an eyebrow. Given you're unemployed now, do you think you can find any respectable job to pay off my money? Perfect. I can keep him in my sight, make sure he doesn't run off. Plus, watching him get all agitated is surprisingly therapeutic. Caleb felt like his back molars were grinding to dust. He, Caleb Stone, a graduate of a prestigious university, was now not only saddled with $1 million debt, but also had to intern for his creditor, all while being treated like a stress relief toy. This was the ultimate humiliation. Can I refuse? He asked, clinging to a last sliver of hope. You can, Alexis replied crisply. Then hand over $1.8 million right now. Cash or transfer is fine. Caleb instantly wilted. He bowed his head in resignation. What time should I be in tomorrow? 8:30 sharp. My assistant will handle your onboarding. Alexis's lips seemed to curve upward, but it was too quick to be sure. Done. Tomorrow promises some good drama. Caleb's inner alarm bells were blaring. Good drama? What kind of drama? He had a sinking feeling his future days would be anything but easy. The next day, Caleb stepped into Alexis's company, Reed Global, with the same grim feeling as visiting a grave. He'd looked it up yesterday. The firm was a leading commercial giant in the country, with operations spanning real estate, tech, and entertainment. And Alexis Reed? She was the helm of this massive corporate empire, known as the Ice Queen of Commerce. Countless elites from top schools would break their necks for an internship position here. And he, Caleb Stone, was joining as a collateral asset. The man who escorted him was a sharp-looking guy with gold-rimmed glasses, Alexis's executive assistant, Mr. Chun. Mr. Chun walked straight ahead, not sparing Caleb a glance, and led him to the planning department, loosely gesturing toward an empty desk. You can sit here. The surrounding colleagues cast curious glances his way. Who's this? A hand-picked hire? He looks kind of dim. He's not bad looking, but that outfit. Everything he's wearing couldn't cost $500 total. His vibe is totally off. Must be some executive's nephew, right? Caleb sat down silently at his assigned spot, ignoring the torrent of internal critiques raining down on him, and booted up the computer. All he wanted was to be an unnoticed shadow. Just make it to quitting time, day after day, until that astronomical debt was cleared. But fate was unkind. Shortly after he sat down, a cheerful-looking girl in a pink dress bounced over. Hi, you must be the new guy. Caleb, right? I'm Tanya Vance. We're colleagues now. The girl's smile was radiant. Caleb nodded. Hello. Wow, he's so aloof. Just like his file said, someone personally recruited by Ms. Reed. He must be extraordinary. Look at those deep eyes, that melancholic air. He must be a man with a story. Caleb. Miss, is your power of imagination a bit too strong? I'm not melancholic. I just didn't sleep well. Tanya hadn't registered his internal complaint and continued talking. Don't let the tense atmosphere in the planning department fool you. It's all because of the Starlight project proposal presentation this afternoon. We hear the competition is really tough, and we've been prepping for months. The pressure is immense. Caleb murmured, oh, acknowledging the information. As an intern, a project of this magnitude was not his concern. Just then, the department director let out a sudden wail. We're done for. The final PPT file won't open. It's corrupted. The entire office instantly exploded. How could this happen? The presentation is in an hour. Call IT. Tell them to fix it now. What about a backup? Does anyone have a backup file? Amidst the chaos, Caleb's ears picked up a faint thought from an IT technician frantically typing in the corner. Why the rush? Good thing I was messing around yesterday and made a backup in the public drive's temporary folder. Path is Z drive, temp backup. I'm such a clever little guy, but I can't tell them, or they'll praise me into working overtime again. Caleb's eyes lit up. He looked at the department director, who looked ready to spontaneously combust from stress, and spoke before he could stop himself. Maybe check the backup folder in the temp directory on the Z drive. His voice wasn't loud, but in the noisy office, it sounded remarkably clear. Everyone fell silent, turning to look at him in unison. The director froze for a moment, then lunged toward the IT tech like a drowning man grabbing a lifeline. Quick, check where he said. The IT tech looked utterly bewildered, but followed the instruction. A few seconds later, he let out a cry of delight. I found it. It's really here. Exactly the same. The whole office erupted in thunderous cheers and applause. Everyone was looking at Caleb as if he were some kind of deity. The department director rushed over, gripping his hand. Young man, how did you know? You're our savior. Caleb opened his mouth, unsure how to explain. Should he say he heard it? They'd think he was crazy. He stammered vaguely. I was just guessing. For important files, people usually make hidden backups. Before he could finish, Tanya, standing beside him, had her eyes wide open, looking at him with pure adoration. Oh my God, how can he be so brilliant? He saw the core of the problem instantly. Is this the legendary master? And he's so humble. Said he was just guessing. That calm, unperturbed demeanor. What a level of mastery. I'm in love. I'm in love. Caleb. Miss, if you keep making up backstories, I'm going to achieve enlightenment. What he didn't know was that in the penthouse executive office, Alexis was watching the whole thing via security monitors, a playful smirk on her lips. This idiot actually got lucky for once. The Starlight project proposal was ultimately secured without further incident. Caleb became instantly famous for his one-sentence save. Even though he repeatedly insisted it was just luck, thanks to Tanya, the chief fan fiction writer, he had been mythologized into a master recluse who hides his genius and foresees everything. Bro Caleb, any insights on next week's lottery numbers? God, Caleb, can you check my romantic prospect for the next few weeks? Caleb was driven mad by these questions, forced to maintain a cool, distant expression of heavenly secrets must not be revealed, while quietly doing his intern duties of printing documents and fetching coffee. The more he acted this way, the more mysterious and profound everyone found him. Around lunchtime that day, as he headed to the cafeteria, he ran into an unexpected person at the elevator bank, his ex-girlfriend, Jessica Miller. Jessica was linked arm in arm with a greasy, slick-haired man, the very one from the photo with the gold watch. She froze when she saw Caleb. Then an undisguised look of contempt spread across her face. Well, Caleb, what are you doing here? Do they only hire guys at your skill level for the janitorial staff at Reed Global now? She sneered loudly. The gold watch man beside her, Ryan Harris, shot Caleb a condescending glance, the way one might look at an ant on the sidewalk. Caleb's fists clenched instantly. Can't back down, fight back. If I swallow this, I'll get internal injuries. He heard his own internal roar. He curled his lip into a short, cold laugh. Can't help it. The company sent me down to the grassroots level to experience life and scout the taste of our competition, to see if they're still stuck in early aughts nouveau riche aesthetics. His gaze deliberately lingered on Ryan Harris's ostentatiously shiny gold watch. Ryan's face immediately darkened. Jessica's expression soured too. What's that supposed to mean? Caleb, don't mistake politeness for weakness. Ryan here is the VP of Terra Capital, a position you'll be looking up to for the rest of your life. Terra Capital? Isn't that the competition for the Starlight Project? Caleb's mind immediately clicked. Oh, is that so? Caleb feigned surprise. My apologies, my mistake. I thought it was some newly rich oil baron bringing his secretary for a tour. You. Jessica trembled with rage. Just then, the elevator doors chimed open. Alexis Reed stepped out. Her arrival seemed to instantly drop the ambient temperature by several degrees. All employees respectfully lowered their heads. Good morning, Ms. Reed. Jessica and Ryan both froze. They clearly recognized Alexis. Ryan's arrogance vanished instantly, replaced by a sycophantic grin. Ms. Reed, good morning. I'm Ryan Harris from Terra. Alexis merely gave a slight nod, her gaze not lingering on him for more than a second. Her eyes landed on Caleb. Caleb's heart skipped a beat. Crap, she definitely saw me going off on them. This idiot looks listless most of the time, but he's quite sharp-tongued when he argues. A little interesting. Caleb idiot B exhaled in relief. Good. She wasn't about to fire him. Alexis tilted her chin toward him. Come with me. With that, she turned and headed toward the executive elevator. Under the shocked, jealous, and utterly disbelieving gaze of Jessica and Ryan, Caleb reluctantly followed. He could clearly hear Jessica's internal scream. How is this possible? How does Alexis Reed know Caleb, that poor bum? And she's taking him with her. Could Caleb be some secret rich kid? What did I miss? Caleb's mouth curved into a barely perceptible smile. This feeling was actually quite satisfying. Do you know why I asked you up here? In the executive office, Alexis was lounging on the sofa, legs crossed, her posture relaxed but undeniably oppressive. No, I don't, Caleb answered honestly. Of course it's so you can be my shield, idiot. Caleb? ? Next week, there's a corporate gala. Alexis began, her tone as level as if she were discussing the weather. I need a male escort. Caleb pointed to his own chest. Me? Is there anyone else here? Alexis countered. That old fox, Mr. Harris, has been trying to push his son, Ryan, onto me under the guise of a strategic merger. This gala will certainly be another chance for him to bring it up. Bringing this idiot along will be the perfect way to annoy them. Caleb immediately understood. So, he was not only a collateral asset and a stress relief toy, but now he also had a moonlight as a human shield? Ms. Reed, I don't think I'm suitable, Caleb tried to push back. I can't dance, and I don't know any business etiquette. I'll embarrass you. Those aren't problems. Alexis dismissed him lightly. I'll arrange the clothes. All you need to do is stay by my side, talk less, and eat more. Honestly, you standing there gives off this I'm poor, but I have integrity kind of dorky vibe, which will perfectly highlight my aloof elegance. A vein twitched near Caleb's temple. What's in it for me? He decided to negotiate for his own interests. Alexis seemed momentarily surprised by the question. Oh, he's starting to bargain for his interests now? Progress. She paused thoughtfully. I'll pay you triple overtime for the night of the gala, deducted from your debt. Caleb's eyes lit up. Triple pay. That was a significant amount of money. Deal. He agreed immediately, afraid Alexis might change her mind. Seeing his money-grubbing expression, Alexis's lips curved upward again, almost imperceptibly. So easy to fool. Caleb, he felt like a little white rabbit being toyed with in the palm of a fox. But to escape this predicament as soon as possible, he endured it. In the face of money, dignity is worthless, Caleb muttered silently to himself, reciting some quote he attributed to a long-dead philosopher, preparing himself mentally. The night of the corporate gala, Caleb looked at his reflection and felt a sense of unfamiliarity. He was wearing a custom-tailored Italian designer suit that perfectly outlined his broad shoulders and narrow waist. His hair had been expertly styled, showing off his full forehead. Overall, he did look somewhat presentable. Not bad. Alexis's voice came from beside him. She was wearing a black, off-the-shoulder evening gown, her neck adorned with a dazzling diamond necklace. She was radiant, like a queen. Caleb was momentarily mesmerized. This idiot is about to drool. Never seen a beautiful woman before. Alexis's inner thought snapped him back to reality. Caleb quickly averted his gaze and cleared his throat. Ms. Reed, you look very beautiful tonight. Less nonsense, let's go. Alexis's earlobes seemed faintly flushed, but she turned away quickly, and Caleb missed it. At the gala venue, the air was thick with designer perfume and the clinking of crystal glasses. Caleb shadowed Alexis, diligently playing the role of a fitting background prop. He rigorously followed Alexis's instructions. Talk less, eat more. Consequently, he began a merciless sweep of the food stations, balancing a plate in one hand. Just as he was stuffing the third slice of Black Forest cake into his mouth, the pest duo, Ryan and Jessica, reappeared, as if by magnetic pull. Ms. Reed, what a coincidence, Ryan said, swirling a glass of wine with a greasy smile. And this is? His gaze swept over Caleb, filled with scrutiny and hostility. Before Alexis could speak, Jessica jumped in. Ryan, this is Caleb, my ex-boyfriend. He used to work at some tiny firm, then he got fired, and I have no idea how he managed to sneak in here. She spoke loudly enough for many nearby guests to hear, who then started throwing scornful looks his way. Caleb's face instantly flushed red, his hand, holding the cake, frozen mid-air. Alexis's expression turned frigid. That woman has a truly foul mouth. How dare she humiliate my man in public? The phrase my man caused Caleb's heart to skip a beat. Miss Miller, is it? Alexis's voice was low, but carried an icy chill. Caleb is currently a special advisor to Reed Global. As for your claim about him sneaking in, I believe the guest list for a Reed Global gala is not subject to the vetting process of an outsider. She paused, her gaze shifting to Ryan. Mr. Harris, control your date. Otherwise, I won't hesitate to have the chairman of Terra Capital personally teach you what protocol means. Ryan's face instantly turned ashen. Jessica dared not speak another word. The surrounding gossips shifted their gaze toward Caleb instantly. Special advisor? That sounds incredibly important. Ms. Reed actually confronted Terra Capital for his sake. Their relationship must be serious. Wait, is he Ms. Reed's secret lover? Caleb felt a headache coming on, listening to these absurd rumors. All he wanted was to quietly enjoy his cake. After dispatching the two flies, Alexis glanced at the stunned Caleb, frowning slightly. Can't even hold a piece of cake steady? Pathetic. She reached out, naturally taking the plate from Caleb's hand and placing it on a nearby table, then pressed her wine glass into his. Hold this. Her fingertips brushed his palm inadvertently, sending a faint tremor through him. Caleb looked down at the stemware in his hand, then at the woman beside him who had just offended him, and felt a strange, unfamiliar sensation well up inside him. Perhaps this ice queen wasn't as unapproachable as she seemed. Ms. Reed, he started, intending to thank her. His palms are so sweaty. Is he that nervous? Oh well, since he behaved today, I'll give him a raise when we get back. The thank you died on Caleb's lips, replaced instantly with, Ms. Reed, don't forget that triple overtime pay. Alexis. She took a deep breath and forced the two words out through clenched teeth. I know. After the gala, Caleb's status at the company became even more ambiguous. The label of Ms. Reed's man drew attention wherever he went. Tanya's admiration for him had escalated to near fanaticism. Bro Caleb and Ms. Reed, this ship has sailed. The Ice Queen and her deeply hidden, loyal consultant. What a perfect trope. Caleb wanted to scream at her. Wake up, girl. I'm not loyal. I'm a house slave. The sold-out kind. What troubled him even more was that Alexis seemed very pleased with the effect this special advisor title had and began exploiting his position even more relentlessly. Caleb, translate this document into German for me. I don't speak German. Idiot, I have a smart translator on my desk. Caleb, come with me to the board meeting this afternoon. Why? I won't understand anything. So you can be the mascot and provide morale support. Caleb, I'm out of coffee. I'll go make some now. Caleb felt like he was going insane. He complained internally about Alexis being a ruthless capitalist while simultaneously submitting to her tyranny. However, this intense exploitation brought an unexpected benefit. He began getting exposed to more and more of the company's core business. Relying on his bug-level ability to hear thoughts, he always managed to offer advice at critical moments that sounded insane but was impossibly accurate. For example, during a meeting debating the acquisition of an emerging tech startup, all the executives were arguing over Company A versus Company B. Caleb, however, overheard the inner thoughts of Company A's technical director from the corner. They still haven't found that critical vulnerability in our core code? Perfect. Once the acquisition goes through, I'll take my team to the competitor and watch them cry. Caleb jolted. When Alexis asked for his opinion, he unhesitatingly chose Company B. A week later, Company A exploded into a technical scandal, its stock price plummeted. Reed Global, having chosen Company B, successfully seized the market advantage. After this event, no one dared to question Caleb's status as special advisor again. Everyone believed he was a supremely calculating business genius. Only Caleb knew he was just a thief using a cheat code. When you can see everyone's cards, it's hard not to win. Caleb mused profoundly while watering Alexis's cactus. Alexis looked up from a stack of files and glanced at him. There he goes again, saying those inexplicably cool lines. He's still just an idiot, but the corner of her mouth couldn't help but lift slightly. The peaceful days didn't last long. A massive crisis quietly loomed. Reed Global's most crucial overseas partner, the European Rosen Group, suddenly announced unilaterally that they needed to reevaluate their strategic partnership with Reed. This news hit the company like a bombshell, causing massive internal shockwaves. If they lost the Rosen Group, Reed Global's European market share would collapse entirely, leading to incalculable losses. Alexis immediately called an emergency executive meeting. The atmosphere was so heavy you could practically cut it with a knife. What exactly is going on? Why the sudden change of heart from the Rosen Group? Alexis's voice betrayed a hint of exhaustion. A VP dabbed sweat from his forehead. We heard. That Terra Capital is stirring things up behind the scenes. Ryan Harris's father, David Harris, personally flew to Europe and met with the Rosen Group CEO. David Harris? A cold glint flashed in Alexis's eyes. Caleb stood in the corner of the meeting room, his heart sinking too. He knew this was the Harris family retaliating against him and Alexis. The meeting dragged on all day without yielding any viable solution. The Rosen Group remained adamant, refusing all communication. That evening, only Alexis and Caleb remained in the office. Alexis rubbed her temples, looking utterly worn out. This was the first time Caleb had seen such obvious fatigue on her face. David Harris has really gone all out this time. What kind of leverage did he offer Rosen? Seeing her tightly furrowed brow, Caleb felt an inexplicable pang of pain. He wanted to do something for her. Ms. Reed, he started, let me go to Europe. Alexis looked up sharply, her eyes wide with surprise. What can he possibly do? Walk into a trap. Yes, me. Caleb's gaze was unusually firm. Didn't you say I was a special advisor? Now is the time for the special advisor to step up. He certainly wasn't acting on impulse. He had his ace in the hole, his superpower. As long as he could meet the CEO of the Rosen Group, he was confident he could hear their true thoughts and find a breakthrough point. Alexis stared at him for a long time, seeming to search his face for something. But Caleb's expression showed nothing but resolve. Do you know how dangerous this is? Alexis's voice was a little rough. David Harris isn't the useless fool Ryan is. He's ruthless and capable of anything. This idiot, doesn't he know his own limitations? What if something happens to him? Her inner thoughts carried a clear note of worry for the first time. Caleb's heart felt as if it had been gently nudged by something. I'm not afraid, he said slowly, word by word, because I don't want to see you lose. After saying that, even he was taken aback. The words were too intimate, too impulsive, completely unlike him. The office fell into a dead silence. A suspicious blush crept up Alexis's cheeks. She avoided Caleb's intense gaze and whispered, I'll have Mr. Chen book the flights. This idiot, saying something like that so suddenly, it's out of line. 3 days later, Caleb boarded the flight to Europe. Accompanying him was Tanya Vance. In Tanya's words, I can't let you go alone, bro Caleb. I'm fluent in 8 languages and can be your translator. Most importantly, I can protect you. Caleb looked at her small frame, which was less than half his arm's width, and fell into deep thought. Bro Caleb is going to save the company. I have to stay by his side and document this epic moment. This is the crucial turning point for the CP I ship. Caleb. Fine, he admitted, bringing Tanya, the chief fan fiction writer, along might add a little entertainment to the trip. After the plane landed, they headed straight for the Rosen Group headquarters. Predictably, they were stopped by the receptionist. I'm sorry, you cannot see the CEO without an appointment. Tanya immediately switched to fluent German and began negotiating with the receptionist. Meanwhile, Caleb activated his radar, scanning the thoughts of everyone nearby. Soon, he locked onto a target, a man in a suit who looked like an executive, walking with a hurried gait. Damn it, the CEO's asthma is acting up again. The emergency inhaler is empty. Buying one now is too late. What do I do? What do I do? Caleb's eyes flashed. Opportunity. He gave Tanya a meaningful look, then quickly followed the executive. In the break room, he accidentally bumped into the man, causing the briefcase he was carrying to fall to the floor. Caleb apologized profusely, helping to pick things up while discreetly slipping a small spray canister from his pocket into a hidden compartment of the briefcase. It was the very thing Alexis had forced into his hand before he left, saying it was for emergencies. Alexis herself had mild asthma. Having done that, he left as if nothing had happened. Half an hour later, a shrill alarm blared throughout the Rosen Group headquarters. An ambulance wailed toward the building. Tanya turned pale with fright. Bro Caleb, what's happening? Please don't tell me it's a terrorist attack. Caleb, however, seemed strangely calm. He pulled Tanya along, mingling with the crowd, quietly observing. He knew the real show was about to begin. Sure enough, moments later, the executive Caleb had followed, rushed out of the building, looking around frantically as if searching for someone. When he spotted Caleb, his eyes lit up like he'd seen the Messiah. He rushed over, gripping Caleb's hand tightly, speaking incoherently with excitement. It's you. Thank you. You saved the CEO. Tanya looked completely bewildered. Caleb, however, allowed himself a faint smile of everything is under control. It turned out the Rosen Group CEO had suffered a severe asthma attack just moments before and was in critical condition. Just as everyone was panicking, this executive found the life-saving inhaler Caleb had planted in his briefcase. It was this medicine that bought the CEO the precious time needed for rescue. The CEO was now stable. Our CEO wishes to see you. Please, you must come with me. The executive's demeanor was extremely deferential. Amidst the astonishment of the crowd, Caleb and Tanya were ushered into the CEO's office. The Rosen CEO was a German gentleman over 60. Though his complexion was still pale, he appeared alert. He looked at Caleb with eyes full of gratitude and curiosity. Young man from the East, thank you for saving my life, he said in slightly broken Mandarin. It was nothing, Caleb replied, neither overly humble nor arrogant. This young man is truly my good fortune. Not only did he save my life, but he also allowed me to see David Harris's true colors. Caleb's mind registered the opening. He concentrated, listening intently. That scoundrel David Harris actually gave me a forged medical report, claiming my asthma was cured and I didn't need medication anymore. He wanted me dead, so his useless nephew could take over Rosen's Asian operations. Thank goodness. Thank goodness this young man appeared. Caleb's heart was rocked by a storm. He hadn't expected David Harris to be so vicious, willing to risk a life for commercial gain. Mr. Rosen, Caleb began, his voice steady and strong. I believe there might be a misunderstanding between us. And the person who manufactured this misunderstanding is David Harris of Terra Capital. He didn't directly reveal what he'd heard, choosing a more subtle approach. Oh, the Rosen CEO raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. All the negative information David Harris provided you about Reed Global is fabricated. His goal is to bankrupt Reed, then partner with you, slowly devouring your Asian business until he replaces you entirely. Caleb's words were firm. Although Caleb had no tangible evidence, having just stared death in the face, the CEO's suspicion of David Harris was already at its peak. Caleb's statement only confirmed his worst fears. Young man, On what grounds should I believe you? He asked, staring at Caleb. Caleb smiled and uttered a sentence that shocked everyone present. On the grounds that I know your favorite food is black boy of the gods. Caleb silently thought to himself, no, I'm just a thief with a cheat code. The result of this negotiation was never in doubt. Not only did the Rosen Group restore its partnership with Reed, but they also doubled their order volume and announced they were permanently cutting all business ties with Terra Capital. The news hit the business world at home like a tidal wave. David Harris, having tried to steal a chicken only to lose the bait, suffered a stroke on the spot from sheer fury and was rushed to the hospital. Terra Capital's stock price plummeted, plunging the company into an unprecedented crisis. And Caleb Stone? He became the legendary hero who single-handedly saved the entire corporation. When Caleb and Tanya returned to the office, they were greeted like conquering heroes. The entire planning department rushed forward, surrounding him. God, Caleb, you are amazing. Bro, Caleb, you're my idol. Tanya stood to the side, puffing out her little chest with shared pride. I knew it. When Bro Caleb acts, he's worth 10 men. No, 10 armies. And this adds such a rich, vibrant stroke to the love story between him and Ms. Reed. Caleb felt his head spinning amidst the accolades. He pushed through the crowd and headed directly for the penthouse executive office. He had something more important to do. He pushed the door open. Alexis was standing by the massive floor-to-ceiling window, looking out at the bustling traffic below. She turned when she heard the sound. In her eyes was a light Caleb had never seen before, as if they were filled with stars. You're back. Her voice held a barely perceptible tenderness. Caleb walked toward her step by step, his heart beating faster and faster. I'm back. He looked at her and summoned the greatest courage he'd ever possessed. Ms. Reed, about my debt. Can we... Before he could finish, Alexis suddenly took a step forward, stood on her toes, and pressed a light kiss onto his lips. It was soft, gentle, carrying a hint of coolness. Caleb completely froze. His mind went blank. He couldn't hear any thoughts, only the deafening sound of his own heartbeat. This idiot finally got the message. I'm not doing this as a reward for him. I just wanted to do it. The intermittent thoughts trickled in like a beautiful piece of music. Alexis's face was completely red now. She stepped back, feigning composure, but she couldn't look Caleb in the eye. The debt is wiped clean, she murmured. Also, your special advisor position has been made permanent. The annual salary is... She named a figure that was enough to make Caleb faint on the spot. But Caleb acted as if he hadn't heard. He just stared at her blankly, reaching up to touch his lips where her warmth and fragrance still lingered. Alexis, he said her name for the first time. Did you just kiss me? Alexis's face burned even hotter, and she turned to leave. But Caleb grabbed her wrist. His grip was firm. Alexis couldn't pull free. What are you doing? Let go, she cried out in annoyance. My heart is racing so fast. What is he going to do? Caleb looked into her flustered eyes and suddenly laughed. He pulled her close, hugging her tight. No, he whispered near her ear, not letting go for the rest of my life. The woman in his arms slowly went from rigid to soft. The sunlight outside was perfect. Epilogue late at night, in Alexis's bedroom. She tossed and turned, unable to sleep, her mind filled with the image of Caleb holding her and saying not letting go. She threw off the duvet, walked to her desk, and pulled out a beautiful diary from a locked drawer. Flipping to the latest entry, she picked up her pen and wrote. Today, that idiot finally caught on. Does he think I don't know his little secret? From the first time he muttered to himself near my car, answering a question I hadn't even voiced yet. I suspected. An idiot who can hear thoughts, and a queen who pretends to be an ice block. It sounds quite fitting, actually. Having finished writing, she closed the diary, a sly smile playing on her lips. She walked to the window and looked down at the silly figure standing below, not knowing what he was doing. She muttered softly, Idiot, are you going home? Do you plan on standing guard under my window all night? Downstairs, Caleb, who was agonizing over whether he should text her a good-night message, suddenly heard the familiar voice in his head. He looked up sharply toward the lit window, revealing a brilliant smile. Then, he turned and his steps grew light as he disappeared into the night. Tonight, he would surely have good dreams. The end.